Friends, Romans, and fellow countrymen. Welcome to the latest episode of Prem Sports Rants with yours truly. And I'm going to do a quick one talking about football. A certain side has waited over 30 years for the most important piece of information that arose 5 days ago. You can either love them like their own fans do, which resulted in them attending around Anfield despite no game being held at the time when the news was declared. Or you can, like the majority of us, despise them, just like some of the other big teams of, you can say, the Big Six, the Big Four, or the traditional Big Two in terms of history, if that's even a factor, because Man City and Chelsea have been the best domestic sides of the previous decade. Anyway, but Liverpool, you can despise them, and a part of us will always want to despise them because of their history of whenever you grew up. Maybe we're talking about not their successful period, because they had a reason to be so cocky, but the team, when people would say that Gerrard's the greatest captain, some people still do, despite horrendously not doing anything compared to Henderson, who, although was moments away of joining Fulham at one point during his career at Liverpool, he, as a captain in the last 3 years, delivered a Champions League final, then won the Champions League whilst getting a record 97 points, which would have been more than any of the previous champions, nevertheless runners-up last season. And then this season have done a tremendous job of being the quickest crowned champions in the history of the Premiership, which is humongous. And this, when you think of it in that perspective, Liverpool are well worthy, and doesn't matter if you like Liverpool or hate Liverpool, they are a side that commands and demands the utmost of respect. And that's why then it transcends to debates of, is this Liverpool the greatest side we've seen? It is. A lot of people will say the treble of Liverpool, of Man United, the 99, because they've been able to win more medals. That was Roy Keane's argument. The league wasn't difficult. I think since in the last 15, 20 years especially, the Premiership has been competitive from top to bottom. But back then, you can say there's only more two worthy sides that could really compete for the title in Arsenal and Man United, because Liverpool would fizzle out, Newcastle would fizzle out, and Chelsea would fizzle out. Yeah, before the Roman Abramovich era, they did have their moments. Believe me, as a Middlesbrough fan, 97 FA Cup. So, in that sense, I would always say Liverpool, I would say this Liverpool is better than that Man United. However, as Gary Neville has pointed out, comparing the treble Man United, it's not even his best Man United side to be around. It was the Man United side that had Ronaldo, Rooney, Tevez, Berbatov, and just that squad itself, because they were consistently challenging at the top. So for 3 years, 2007, they got to the semi-finals, were undone by a great Kaka. 2008, they won it. 2009, they got to the final again. Whilst with Liverpool, they were undone because the pressure of being unbeaten overcame them against, nevertheless, a good Atletico Madrid, but an underperforming Atletico Madrid that's under transition, because even the player who scored 2 goals, Llorente, maybe I may be wrong on this, but he may have scored 1 goal before, but those, I believe, were his just 2 goals, or at least his first 2 goals for a long time, or maybe in Europe, because he crossed the Madrid divide and joined Atletico. I think his father was a Real Madrid legend, and then that, which made it more controversial. So in that sense, you can say that joining Atletico Madrid wasn't. So in that sense, you can say Liverpool can argue they're not on that level of that Man United. However, because I'm going straight to that topic, because that Man United side is for me the greatest Premiership side, and I really want to talk about this stuff because what Liverpool have done is so unprecedented that you cannot, like, you have to take away all your digressions, your hate towards the club, and respect them in the love of the sport. Because whether you like Henderson, the scenes of him hugging his dad when he won the Champions League is fantastic. I know some Man United fans, wink wink, the one I used to do the interviews with, who loves the defender that they signed for £80 million, in which he always talks about he's such a great captain, world class fit of Man United. I love the way he was talking to his fiance. He is the greatest defender, and it really annoys me. So you can see how some people can be biased and have certain misconceptions towards their own players. However, with Henderson, once he was a player that graduated from Sunderland, so I shouldn't really respect him as a Middlesbrough fan. Nevertheless, you have to, because of what you appreciated the bond he had with his father when he's celebrating the Champions League victory as a winning captain. Now I'm going to talk about why I think there will be question marks amongst Liverpool's achievements. Me and my previous co-host of the previous show, we always spoke about that Sheffield United and Liverpool were the only sides that were performing really well, on a consistent basis until the restart, which has just commenced. Thank goodness. Just great to see the restart, but you can see since the restart has actually begun, the sides that were actually overachieving have started to digress. So today, you're watching this on Monday, the 29th of June. Yesterday, on the 28th of June, we saw Leicester and Sheffield United in very tense, which could have been tense FA Cup quarter-final matches against traditional London top sides of Arsenal and Chelsea. Chelsea went to Leicester, Arsenal went to Sheffield United, and both sides, although there were times when the underachieving classic sides were doing really well, overachieving, I should say, were doing really well, the London sides prevailed. And that's been their story since the restart. And I believe since the restart has happened, some of these teams have got their act together. Even Man United, once they combine Pogba with Bruno Fernandes, they are a fluid side. Otherwise, against Norwich, they were pathetic. Norwich were really, really unlucky to actually lose with, again, I don't want to do that act again, with Harry Maguire scoring a late goal, because it was really bad. Because look at when they had Pogba against Sheffield United midweek. Again, talking about Sheffield United that lost to Arsenal, with Sabala scoring the last very late goal against Arsenal, against Sheffield United. Even Ross Barkley, when he scored, that was a great goal. But after scoring, he actually started misplacing so many passes. They had lots of they were countering the attacking intent of Leicester near the end of the game, and it just shows how bad those sides have gone. And I really want to talk about that because it shows how the teams have been so inconsistent, and the top teams have been so inconsistent that other sides have been able to overachieve, and that includes Liverpool. That, don't get me wrong, what they've done is fantastic, but if other sides were, especially Man City, if they were more consistent, then the title race would have gone on for longer. Nevertheless, you still have to beat teams, and I believe Liverpool will still have a similar record of winning so many games as they did last season, like Man City. And I think they deserve so many plaudits, but we have to put question marks around their performances. And then here's the question: when will we start giving Liverpool more respect? Like, I'm using the Roy Keane side, because I think Jurgen Klopp's one. I still think Conte is, for me, the best manager in the world right now, because he transforms sides. But Inter Milan, they threw away a victory and drew 3-3 with Sassuolo. And although just a few hours ago they were losing 1-0 and they came back to win 2-1. So Conte may have an opportunity to redeem himself, but nevertheless, right now, most pundits will say that Jurgen Klopp's is the best manager currently, and I try to say Sir Alex Ferguson is the greatest of all time. Klopp is on that trajectory because he makes his side. He's the closest thing to Ferguson, which is fantastic to see, and he deserves all the plaudits that he gets. He does so much, and I have to say that if Liverpool can repeat a similar level performances next season, then they deserve to be in that argument. Just like Man City's Pep Guardiola's side is in that argument. But we're just going to forget that because in that third season opportunity of being able to perform, they've been quite poor. However, if they still beat Real Madrid, who looks quite strong because now Real Madrid have leapfrogged Barcelona because they beat Espanyol away today, last night, 1-0, whilst Barcelona drew 2-2 with Celta Vigo. So it could be a tight game, but if Man City beats Real Madrid and win the Champions League, just like last season when people said maybe Liverpool's Champions League victory overcame Man City's domestic dominance, Man City could be seen as the prevailers. We're here to see. So I guess all I'm trying to say is that the restart has seen teams performing better since other sides, and it's shown how next season may be, and then Liverpool may not be seen as big as they were previously. And let's end, because I like talking about wrestling quickly. I hope those that have been tested positive with COVID-19 will recover, such as Renee Young, even affecting AEW champion Jon Moxley, who can attend AEW. I'm hoping AJ Styles wasn't affected because he didn't attend SmackDown last week on Friday. And also, those guys that abuse women, shame on you. Matt Riddle, bad. Take care. Actually, I'm going to say a bit more. Thank you to the brave women to expose the predators that mistreated their fellow colleagues and abused them, and also that abused fans, young fans that had no idea that people were lurking and preying onto these underage individuals. And so it's people getting the good justice, getting the predators that you have to ignore your appreciation of them as wrestling in their art. It's like Chris Benoit. He was one of the greatest, better than Eddie Guerrero, but we will always respect Eddie Guerrero above Chris Benoit because of his actions. Just like El Ligero, I should remember his name. Jack Gallagher's another one. Another guy from NXT UK. Quite a few have been exposed, and we're waiting for more developments to happen in regards to Matt Riddle. And it's rumored that Velveteen Dream is going to be fired very shortly. But it's not only been women that have been targeted. Keith Lee, a huge man, amazing wrestler, he's been drugged and raped himself. So it's not just women. Women have been unfairly abused. He's been unfairly abused as well. And hopefully they can find the culprit and everybody will get the justice. And if Matt Riddle is guilty, if Jim Cornette is guilty, then you deserve to be punished, because people should not be subjected to such bad actions. That's me for today. Have a lovely day. Again, well done, Liverpool. And hopefully everyone recovers from COVID. Take care.